Mr. LYLE WORKMAN. Welcome to Linear Rock.
Hello. Thanks for having me on your show.
So good to have you, really. It's an honor for us. As I was telling in Italian, you are like, a guitar wizard from California, composer, producer, session man, who worked in the music and for the music for the last 30 years now. You've been working with Sting, Bryan Adams, Todd Rundgren, Norah Jones, Sheryl Crow, Alanis Morissette, Anastacia, Ziggy Marley, Black of The Pixies, lot of people. These are just a few names. And in this career, already to be framed, let's say, as the cover of your album it's like a frame with your face in it, you find the time and the motivation to do solo albums, and we're here tonight presenting your fourth album, Uncommon Measures, which I must say it's by title and in fact. Also, as you are workman, in fact. First off, how would you define yourself? I mean, do you feel more like a musician or a guitarist or a composer or a producer? What's the essence of LYLE WORKMAN? Behind you, the spark of it all, the first thing, that you like to introduce yourself with?
I would say composer, songwriter, and I would say definitely guitarist. Mm-hmm. But my focus, where it was when I was younger, was about guitar playing. Now it's grew more and more into writing music. Okay. Where guitar is just a part of it, but not the end all, not everything. So I enjoy music that has no guitar in it at all, or guitar music that has a lot of guitar. Mm-hmm. It's all just about the music, essentially.
LYLE, do you work at your own stuff, like on spare time, song by song, or do you plan a period, to work on your stuff? And being always so busy, do you perceive your music as a leisure, maybe with less pressure, since, it's just you and your music?
Yes. Being that my job is essentially writing music for television and films. Yeah. Music that I write for myself, no pressure. I do it in between jobs when I'm not working.
Okay.
And that's why it takes a little longer for me to make a record, because I have so many other things going on. I can't just start the record and complete all the way to completion. I have to do work on it bits at a time.
Yeah. Concerning the motivation behind the inspiration, is it set any differently? I mean, mentally and also musically, when you have, to please just yourself first, and of course your fans. Even if, I'm sure that if they call you, is it LYLE WORKMAN that they want for many reasons, style, personality, ability, and all your qualities. But do you set any differently for your own stuff?
No, it's pretty much the same. People will hire me for the work that I've done, and they like what it is, and they want that for their project. The biggest difference for me is that when I'm hired to do a film, there's a lot of parameters already set in place: story, characters, dialogue, and sometimes they might even have temporary music for me to follow, like a style. So when I do my own music, I throw everything out the window and just operate from a free place where I can go anywhere I want to go, and just let my imagination run free. And I like that.
What's behind the choice of the title Uncommon Measures? Have you done everything on your own, first off, composition-wise, since you have, many important friends, let's say? And have you give or dare anything never done before for anybody this time on this record?
I think, first of all, the title Uncommon Measures I just felt that it was appropriate because, well, it's got the double meaning. You have the uncommon measures that could be any activity, an uncommon way of doing something.
Yeah.
Whereas the measures, well, we have measures in music on the staff paper, so with measures. So I had a double meaning, and I felt that the music itself wasn't necessarily the most common music that you could hear because it blends rock, jazz, classical, soundtrack, all into one. So it's a blend of many styles that creates its own style, and that is a bit uncommon.
And have you there anything in particular that you never experienced before with your music this time?
Well, the thing that's most unique about this record is that I went to Abbey Road to record a 63-piece orchestra.
Okay. I have a question about Abbey Road. So 4 solo albums in an average time of 7 years in between, more or less, let's say. Is just a matter of time, or your own inspiration actually, takes more to express? And how long did it take, for this one? Which was the first song that came for you? I mean, or actually when you decide you have to make a new record, then you compose, or actually you collect the songs in time. And, since your job is, to work in the music, do you tend to be more a perfectionist when it comes to your own music, and that's why maybe it takes long to make a solo record?
The time it takes to make a record is largely because it's my schedule with other things. So, for example, this record I worked on for about 4 years, but only because I was very busy. And my orchestrator, he lives in London, and he's working all the time. And there was so much orchestral information we needed to work back and forth between his busy schedule and my busy schedule. That's how long it takes. Now, my first record, I think I started it and ended and kept going until I was done. But that was the only one. The rest of them have been in between tours, in between sessions, in between. So that's the only reason it takes as long as it does.
So you mean you also compose while you're on the road sometimes?
No, it's that when I'm on the road, I'm not working on my own. So so there's months where I'm not doing it. I'm not doing anything for my own music. It's just the job that I'm hired to do, and that only.
And about being a perfectionist?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm definitely you could probably say I'm a perfectionist when it comes to my material, but I'm that way about everything in my music. Whether it's composing for someone else or being a session player, I want everything to be as good as it possibly can be.
How did your job change now that, anybody can basically record at home? Is it very different also for somebody like you who does sessions?
Well, certainly during the time of COVID, I kept busy with recording music in my studio and working with other people in their studios just by sharing files. And now with programs, I can listen to people play through the computer.
Yeah,
as doing it. A couple programs that are used for that, and so that's been really great. I've enjoyed being able to continue writing and making music throughout the COVID, and but I prefer being in the room with people. It's always the best.
Okay. So do you feel that actually also in big productions, now they tend, to work everybody in its own place and then collect things? Is something that happens also at your level?
Yes. Yeah, that happens. Yeah. Pretty much every method is happening. And then there's There's people that were doing sessions in the middle of COVID just with a lot of safety precautions and staying apart from each other. And I did one job where they had rules at the studio. Only 3 people could be in the control room at one time.
Yeah.
And, things like that. Safety precautions.
Yes, of course. I'm sure you've been in all, the best studios all around the world. But as you mentioned, how about Abbey Road? I mean, I'm sure that those walls are more magical beyond any expectations for anybody. Have you been actually there, or due to COVID, you had to work, from home with the orchestra at Abbey Studio? Tell us the story.
I was there. The session was before COVID. It was in 2019, in the summer of 2019.
Okay.
So it was before all of that.
All the madness.
Yeah. And there's definitely something very special about those walls and being in that room, being in those rooms. We recorded in the big room, Studio 1.
Yeah.
That's where they do all the orchestral stuff. The smaller room is 2. That's where the Beatles did most of their stuff. And we got to have a tour through the whole facility, including Studio 2.
Yeah. And
that was great. Really great. It felt so. I'm a huge Beatle fan. I started playing music because of the Beatles.
So.
And still to this day, I'm a Wild fan. So it was very meaningful to be there.
Yeah, sure. Now we're going to see the video of the opening track of Uncommon Measures, which is North Star. In the video, you play also a Fender 12 strings guitar as used by Jimmy Page. Is that same one guitar, he used, or it's simply the same model?
Well, if it was the same one he used, it would be worth a whole lot more money. It's the same guitar. It's the same model that he used for Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's that guitar. It's just it's the same model, the same. I don't know if it's the same exact year, but it's a mid-'60s electric 12-string made by Fender, used on Stairway to Heaven.
Is it a special guitar for you?
Oh, yeah.
It is. Okay. We saw the video, and it's unbelievable, amazing. There's Vinny Colaiuta on drums, which is incredible. And we see just the orchestra, and you're filmed afterwards or maybe before. How did it work? Did you record the orchestra first? And where were you while, the orchestra was playing?
Everything except orchestra was recorded first.
Okay.
That was brought to Abbey Road. So orchestra was the very last part of the process. That's much better to do it that way, because then you know exactly what the orchestra is supposed to be doing and how much space they need to fill up.
Sure.
It's better to do that. Plus, you also want to be very prepared when you go to a room with 63 people, and you want to make sure you know exactly everything that's supposed to be where it's supposed to go. So that's the way we recorded it.
Where did you stay during the recording of the orchestra?
Well, I'm in the control room.
Okay.
So the conductor is my orchestrator, and we've been working together for about 12 years on movies.
Okay, so
I wanted him to be a part of this movie because we like the same kind of music. We love jazz and jazz fusion and progressive rock, and we're about the same age. And so I after working with him on movies, I wanted him to be part of this record. His name is John Ashton Thomas.
Okay.
And he works at Abbey Road all the time. He rides his bike there. And he knows the musicians, he knows the room, he knows the engineers, everybody. So there was a familiarity with going with Abbey Road. There was, addition to the being a great studio, there was also the element of him knowing people, knowing the players and the room, and etc.
you're half Sicilian from mother. Which part of Sicily, and what do you think is more Italian in your behavior?
Well, my behavior, I just say my mom. I have my mom's passion. Mm-hmm. I very much my sense of humor. Well, both of my parents are funny, but my mother particularly, she was funny in a way that she wasn't trying to be funny. She'd just be funny, and just very loving, and hugs, and crying.
Yeah.
Time emotions are very readily available. Her parents came from Sicily to San Francisco.
Yeah.
But it was a generation where you don't. And then she was born in San Jose, where I was born. Mm-hmm. So my mother was born, even though her parents were from Sicily,
Do you remember which town of Sicily? It's like Palermo, Messina, Taormina, I don't know. Ragusa.
I have it written down. See, my grandparents died when I don't remember them. I was very young when they passed away. So I have it written down, but at some point I have to go. So I don't know that much about exactly where my grandparents lived. But unfortunately, my mother didn't teach me the language. I wish you would have. But that's from an era where you immigrate to America and you assimilate. You become American.
Yeah.
And they didn't pass the language to me, unfortunately. Okay. I wish I would have.
Have you ever been to Sicily?
No.
Never. Oh, that's a shame.
I've been to Rome and Milan and Amalfi Coast and some of the bigger cities.
On tour, of course. Yeah, of course. Okay. Does everything you do made the complete artist you do and that you have done? Was it a choice to have a career like this, mainly as a session player and producer and composer? How did it start, and who has been your very first guitar hero, since you told us that the spark was guitar playing for you?
My goals changed throughout my career. Early on, my goal was to be in a band and make records with a band and tour with that band. And then after that, I was more interested in becoming a session player to play on records and work with more people, work with different people, so I can play different music. And then from that shifted to wanting to write music for film and TV. So it changed throughout the years.
Okay. The guitar hero, you didn't mention the name of your guitar hero. First one.
I would be Jimi Hendrix.
Okay, of course. The cover of your record is very particular. It's like your face painted. What's the story behind that choice?
All my records are my face.
Mm-hmm.
In different different styles. And I knew I wanted to do something like that for this one. My son is an artist. He's now 18 years old. He's going to go away to art school in the fall. Okay. And so I had a friend of mine who's a great photographer took some pictures of me, and my son made an oil painting of that picture, and actually I have it right here.
Yes, show it to us. Allora dice che suo figlio è un artista, appunto, eccolo lì, è un artista che dipinge, un fotografo, suo amico, gli ha fatto delle foto e suo figlio appunto ha dipinto a olio questo viso. Dice sulle copertine dei miei dischi solistici c'è sempre il mio volto, la mia faccia, e in questo caso lo ha dipinto mio figlio che ha 18 anni ed è, insomma, promette, direi, molto bene. Eccolo lì incorniciato. Wonderful, that's beautiful, really amazing. About some sessions that you've done. I have some curiosity for one in particular. How is it working with an eclectic artist like Sting? Do you have like the sense of unpredictability, let's say, when his call comes, since he does, so many different things. So maybe you don't know what will happen right after his call. Is it exactly like this?
Well, Sting, he is, as much as people think of him as a star, a rock star, and an incredible performer, at the base he's very much a musician. He loves music, he loves musicians, and he makes sure that he hires musicians that he respects to do what they do. And so it's very much he gives a lot of freedom to the musicians to interpret his music. And if he wants to hear something different, he's very great at this, suggesting something, a change. But I have to say that there wasn't any big surprises for me in working with him. He's very much, again, it's just a serious musician and loves to play and loves to perform. And it was just a great experience.
So you told us about, this soundtracks world, which is like a world apart. Is it exactly like this? I mean, how is it? You said that sometimes you have, to follow some instructions, let's say. But how does it work? You see the movie, you read the script, and you must fit and match, strictly the stuff. Or there's also some room, for freedom and improvisation by your side. What coordinates do they give you?
Well, the parameters vary quite a bit depending on the project, depending on the director. Sometimes there's a lot of temporary music placed in a film that may run the gamut from being very much liked, or we don't like it at all. We're just throwing anything up there for some energy. So those parameters there's a big variable there. But essentially what it is, that you get with the director, you watch the movie from start to finish, and you talk about each scene where there's music and whether the temporary music, if there's any at all, has any bearing is to inform me about what I'm supposed to do. And then sometimes we would just watch in other areas and try to find other spots for music.
But do you choose actually where to put music, or they have the idea where?
They do. Yeah, they have it. Yeah.
Which is the most demanding artist that you've worked with? I try to guess. Todd Rundgren. Maybe I'm right. No.
Well, I think sometimes you can work with artists that have very definite ideas about what they want, but I wouldn't really say it's demanding. I would say that they're very, very specific.
Okay.
So I would say Beck was very much very specific about every aspect of how for me to play a particular part.
Sure.
Or sound. But it's everyone I've worked with has been great. I mean, I don't have any terrible stories to tell of people being uncivil or mean or anything like that. I've had very lucky to work with just a great bunch of people across the board.
Have you ever played something you didn't like at all? Maybe just, out of a total devotion of your job? Or without mentioning any names, but, did it happen that you played something that you didn't like?
That I didn't like?
Yeah.
That I played something that I didn't like?
Yeah. No,
Oh,
never. You did?
Sure, sure.
Okay, so you're
I have to fix that. Can I play that over again, please?
No, I mean the song, maybe a song that you didn't like, but you had to do because it was your job.
Oh. Well, for me, it's anytime I'm involved in making music, I always find something I like about the music.
Okay.
You have to find something that you like about the music in order to give all of yourself to it. So it may be, perhaps I don't care for the lyrics or some other aspect of it. There's always something I could find that I like about it, and that I think that's a great way to proceed. I think you'll be happier in your job if you're going to do a job.
Yeah.
Well, find the things that you like about it and keep to the positive thoughts.
How many guitars a committed and versatile workman of music like you are must have? Do you prefer vintage stuff or newer instrument? And they have, they have all different, kind of reliability, nature, temper, even more maybe from your point of view.
I like old guitars.
Okay.
Yeah, I like vintage guitars, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I have some new ones. I also have some new ones that are made in the style of old guitars.
Okay.
And in some cases, there can even be better. For example, this one right here, this guitar here is it's a new model, but it's designed to be like a 50s guitar.
Okay.
Gretsch Penguin.
Wow.
So it's a 50s style, but it's a modern made, and the quality is better. So sometimes you can get better quality with modern things, but there's something about
they're warmer.
Old guitar and it has a certain feel to it, and the wood it dries out and it gets lighter.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more alive.
How many guitars do you have?
How many?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe around 60 or so.
Wow, a lot. How do you envision the post-COVID? Do you face yourself working mostly in the studio now, in the next few years? Even if, there's nothing like the stage to touch the emotions of what your music delivers to the people.
Oh, I'll be going back into the studio. Very soon. A lot of what I do when I'm writing is in my studio here, and often, I have a room where I can record drums and a couple musicians, and so things aren't going to change that much for me.
Okay.
And then every time I need a bigger room, so I need more musicians, then I go to a bigger studio. So that will remain. That has not changed. That'll be the same. But in fact, I'm going to be working with a couple of musicians next week.
Okay. So
project job, going to another studio. So and I have been going to studios off and on, again with the safety precautions.
Sure. So you don't have any tour in the can right now? No. Right. Okay. Thanks, LYLE, for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on your show. I'm honored. Thank you very much.
Hope to see you soon in person. And now we're going to close the show with a song that fits perfectly your essence, Noble Savage. LYLE Workman. Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ciao,
appreciate
ciao.
it. Bye-bye.